All right, everybody. So I'm going to be answering a whole bunch of questions today as best I can, as quickly as I can. I'm going to read them off my computer here, and then we'll take it from there. Hello, Stef. I purchased your course because of your experience and maturity. I'm a 41-year-old nurse who wants to change his career. I took a plunge into a coding bootcamp based off a Facebook ad. To my dismay, I discovered as a novice, without any coding experience, that I was totally, utterly lost. Yes, unfortunately, a lot of the boot camps are taught by nerds who have no teaching experience. And unfortunately, a lot of the boot camps, from what I hear anyway, I haven't done any exhaustive research, a lot of the boot camps are taught by young nerdlings, guys with a couple years experience maybe. They're not in any position to teach. To really understand the stuff, you're looking at 3 to 5 years minimum. I wouldn't want to be taught by anybody in any field unless they had at least 10 years of experience in it. That's just me. This guy continues, I work full-time and wasn't able to keep up with submitting the homework assignments. Now I'm 3 months and $6,000 deep into this bootcamp. The pace is neck-breaking fast. There's no time to digest the subject matter. I'm not a gung-ho 21-year-old who takes out $12,000 loan and codes all day. I have kids, other obligations. I've discovered that I really enjoy coding and finally built the self-esteem to passionately pursue it because honestly I have anxiety attacks trying to grasp these new concepts. Not uncommon. When you're learning anything new, you're going to have anxiety. You're going to have anxiety because there's this element of uncertainty. That's normal in any given profession, not just coding. So I suggest that you just continue forward step by step, take your time. It will come, trust me, you just got to give it time. So I'm paying $1,500 out of pocket on a monthly basis. If I knew in hindsight what I know now, I would have saved up 3 months of living expenses and learned the fundamentals of HTML, CSS, JavaScript before jumping into a boot camp. I'm enjoying the format of your course because you talk in layman's terms and not in a snobbish geek mannerisms. Well, that's just because I understand teaching. When you see somebody who starts leveraging or using a lot of nerd terminology in their explanation of things, that's usually an indicator of lack of experience in teaching and even more insidiously, a lack of understanding of the underlying concepts. If you understand the concepts, you're able to explain them without having to rely on jargon. Just keep that in mind. Please assist. I feel that I can comprehend the concepts better at my own pace without the pressure of working to pay tuition, coming to class 4 hours and trying to complete assignments that I don't even understand. Please advise because I really love to take your take on freelance route in my own business. Thanks, Francois. Sorry he asked this in November. I get so many questions, it's hard for me to get to people. So, quitted 6 months. I guess he quitted the course. He quitted the boot camp. I'm not a big fan of boot camps because of some of the reasons I pointed out. You can learn much more effectively with Studio Web because it's designed specifically for that, and you don't have to put out the huge amount of money. It's crazy to put out this kind of money. Boot camps are designed maybe for experienced developers who want to do a crash course in something, some framework or something, and they have their boss or their company willing to pay the thousands of dollars to do it. For total noobs, I would not use a bootcamp. You can learn on your own with Studio Web for a small fraction of the cost. And get out there and get a job. Many people have. So I would not advise boot camps if I were you, especially if you're doing freelancing. I'm just going to answer this guy's questions. So at the end of the day, what it comes down to, if you want to get in there as a freelancer or even get a job, you learn your foundations, you do 2 to 3 free jobs, 3 gigs as a portfolio and experience building endeavors. Then you put up your portfolio site and then you get paid jobs. That's pretty much all it is to it. All right, I want to start by thanking you for your IWD course. It has really helped me out, helped me get up and running as a freelance web developer. You just follow through and you're almost guaranteed to succeed, as so many have. There's a lot of information out there, and sometimes it can get overwhelming. But thanks to your course and YouTube content, I now know I want to specialize in the WordPress niche as a freelancer. In fact, since completing the courses recently, I've already completed a project. It may not look modern as I want to, but hey, the client wants what the client wants, right? See, he just finished my courses. He already has a gig, right? If you want to make money, for some people, WordPress is not the most exciting thing to get into, but it's like the low-hanging fruit, meaning there's so much demand for it in terms of small business WordPress development. You can make a lot of money very quickly, especially once you get familiar with WordPress, you understand the ecosystem, you start rocking your process with good workflows, etc. I teach all that kind of stuff in my freelance course, shameless plug. Then you can start printing money. You can start making a lot of money pretty easily, especially if you learn how to direct your clients down a proper path using, let's say, if you're doing WordPress as an example. It doesn't necessarily apply for WordPress directly, but with WordPress, you have your set themes you like to use, set plugins you like to use, and you direct your client accordingly. Bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle, you're fine. I have had another project come my way, and I was hoping for your advice. Oof, he wrote me in November. Again, long emails, hard for me to get to. I have a client who wants me to make them a website similar to this site, he gives me the site, as an online real estate agent. Do you think this is a good kind of website to make as WordPress, or do you think it requires more custom programming, therefore currently out of my knowledge base? As the site requires a login system for admin, client, landlords, tenants, as well as e-commerce and more, my concerns is regarding the security and credit card information. The personal information will be stored for the people logging in. I know you're very busy with many businesses to manage, but I would appreciate your advice. Okay, first piece of advice. You do not want to store credit card information on your systems, because you got to get into all these banking compliance issues. What's it called again? I forget what it's called all of a sudden. But no, what you want to do is you want to use a third-party processor like Stripe or PayPal, and you let them store credit card information. Never store credit card information on your own servers, because they got to be, I forget the term, they got to be compliant, where the banks are going to require you in North America, at least, probably in Europe as well, to be tested on a monthly basis to make sure your servers are secure and you have secure processes within your organization. It's a real pain. So you don't want to store credit card information. You will use Stripe or PayPal to process credit cards so that you don't have to deal with that headache. And if it's easy to build it so that it's seamless. People don't necessarily need to leave your site to be able to implement all that. Whether or not you can use WordPress to build this custom real estate site, there are a lot of WordPress plugins and themes that might be able to do that. The problem with those themes and plugins is that when you get into that, the complexity can grow really hard. It can be difficult to deal with. So it's on a per project basis. You're going to have to research that, look at the specific features that your client wants, then look at the space, what's available in the WordPress world, in the ecosystem, and decide whether or not you want to do it. This reminds me actually of a point where a lot of young nooblings will get into the game, and they'll see all these turnkey solutions out there like a Wix and so forth. Shopify, and they're good in certain limited circumstances. They're good in a lot of circumstances, but as soon as you go out of this narrow bandwidth, this narrow range, all of a sudden you need customization, custom programming. That's why the Wix, for example, has a JavaScript-based API. So, long story short, there's never a shortage of need for software development, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Career advice for a developer. Hi, this is Kay from India. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and currently working as an application developer. Contrary to the job description, it's cut off. I am neither that great at building apps nor excited about developing them. So he's an application developer, doesn't like being an application developer. Since schooling days, I was very much interested in math. In fact, I wanted to take up a Master of Science in Applied Mathematics, but was advised to pursue a degree in computer science as it is more programming with math foundation. I was introduced to DS and algos, which I learned with decent interest, not happy as compared to solving problems with discrete mathematics, but still fine. Obviously, English is not his first language, but that's okay. Now I am stuck. I don't find any mathematics jobs. I am working, which I guess is pretty similar for most web application development. I am curious to know about any programming jobs which have a decent amount of math. I would be grateful if you suggest some roadmaps from here. I am not up for PhD or master's owing to my current position. However, I am up for taking courses or languages like R or other background, which is essential. I watch your videos and learn quite a few things, but I am starting to analyze if this field is for me. Thank you again for your advice. It is passionate developers like you who inspire a lot of people and help them cope with the vast ocean of software. I'm going to give the guy the quick answer. Quick answer, AI and ML, lots of math. That's it. If you're a big math person and you want to find jobs in math, you want to get into probably AI and machine learning, where a big part of it is a lot of math. So if you can combine those two nerd powers and make the super nerd job, which is highly paid. My friend and I both have basic programming skills, Java, C++, I love to learn, but due to some circumstances, we need to make a steady income in 6 months. What I've heard is that web development is quick cash compared to other programming skills. This is true, especially small business development, PHP, WordPress, shopping cart implementation, so forth. So we were good to go and began as a web development journey, but then our friend found this article. I would like you to check out the article. I do not have the time, so you should have given me a summary, which basically says, here's the summary, that normal people who are unskilled in coding can create their own apps with some considerable advanced features. Very narrow, and very few will do it, so don't worry about that. With that said, with this level of ease and automation could potentially put freelance and cause casual web developer out of business, not anytime soon. I just talked about it early in this vlog. Would it be even worth investing our time in this skill in 2020? Of course. In 3 months, you could be very proficient, getting jobs, making money. Also, what do you think are good ways to make money online in 2020 via programming skill set or vice versa? Lowest hanging fruit. I'm going to answer this guy. Hi. The easiest route is small biz. If you want to get into low-hanging fruit, web development, WordPress, PHP, shopping cart implementation, Shopify implementation, add in some social media strategies for them as well. A lot of small business owners, they don't know any of this stuff, and they don't want to know any of this stuff because they do their own thing. All right, we got 15 minutes left. Let's go. Question. First off, thank you for everything you do. Love your freelance and entrepreneur courses. Thanks for picking them up. As they have given me a lot of knowledge that I could not have gained elsewhere. That's because a lot of the script kiddies out there, they've all bought the same 4 books, and they're all regurgitating the same 4 books, and you find out the only business they ever had was selling a course on how to start a business. I'm the opposite. I started when I was 18. My first business was pet products and water purification products and all kinds of other stuff, and I've done many different things in between. So everything that I teach in my courses comes from my own experience and experience of other business people I know, not from reading books. That's why it's unique. I'm currently looking for an internship in California, so I have a few questions. Here's my background. JavaScript certification, very proficient Angular with Ivy Engine, very proficient Node, Express, Mongo, coding style, modular, asynchronous, procedural, working on a computer science degree. Here's my question. How important is TDD, test-driven development, in small business? Not very important. Small businesses want to get this stuff out as quickly as possible. Once you have a product, a SaaS, software as a service that actually has clients, is working, then you start, applying TDD principles because you have some money and you can justify it. Are full stack web developers common? Yes, they are, but there's much more jobs than there are developers. Or is it just front-end jobs and back-end jobs? If you're freelancing, if you can full stack, then you're away you go. If you want to go work for a large company, just look what they're looking for. They may look for Angular, but I got a feeling a lot of jobs are going to be React these days, and you might start seeing a spike in Vue. Vue is my favorite. And pure back-end jobs, again, large organizations. But if you are full stack, you have a broader range of job potentials because you can get into freelance, small business, and not just large. But if you're focused on, let's say, just front-end or just back-end, you're limiting yourself a little bit in terms of your job potentials. Not that you won't find jobs, but full stack, more options. Number one, despite your negative views towards document database and Angular, do you think there will be a future for the aforementioned technologies? Yes, I'm not against document databases. I don't think they're bad. I just think that they're a little overhyped, and I think they have a limited use case relative to traditional databases. If you have a database that has many relationships to be maintained, you're better off with an SQL-based database, and most databases are that. If, on the other hand, you have an application where you could have a lot of data that's flowing quick and you don't have very complex relationships to maintain, then you go with your document-based database. There you go. That's all. As always, answering these questions is completely optional. Of course they are. However, I do look up to you and have gone far along with my full-stack web development passion largely because of your tips and wisdom. Oh, there you go. Because you buttered me up by answering this question. And there you go, Brock. That is the answer. So, yeah. Let me just answer this guy. Eight more minutes. All right. Blog question about JavaScript is in the browser. Hi, Stefan. I hear many times that JavaScript is in the browser. What exactly does that mean? I understand. Okay, that means that think of the web browser as a larger application. It's a big program. Inside of that program, you have other programs. One of the main programs is the JavaScript engine, which is another mini program that reads and processes all that JavaScript code. That JavaScript program then sends commands to the browser, and then the browser sends it down to the operating system. Bing, bang, boom, Bob Shrago. So, so that's what it means. JavaScript is its own program, its own engine. So, for example, Microsoft recently, with their Edge web browser, trashed their own version of JavaScript, their JavaScript engine, their JavaScript app, and brought in the Chromium engine, which is the Chrome engine that powers, that does all the JavaScript processing in the Chrome browser. So the web browser is one app, and inside a web browser, you have the JavaScript app, if you will. He continues, I understand that JavaScript code can be written in the console. I also understand that JavaScript code is executed in the browser without needing a server. JavaScript code by default, traditionally rather, it was executed on the browser. They ported that JavaScript engine, they brought it over to server-side Node.js, and they extended it as well to do server stuff, but that's what it is. But is the browser also built with JavaScript in the same way, for example, as Photoshop is built with C++? No. The browser is written probably in C++. I don't know. I haven't looked at it lately. Maybe on Windows, they've written it with C#.NET. I'm not sure. With Edge. But just think of JavaScript as a separate app, a separate program that exists traditionally inside the web browser, but now they ported it to the server with Node. And is the GUIs in the browser built with HTML and CSS? Yes. HTML and CSS form the GUIs in the browser. Would it be beneficial for a web developer to learn more about these details regarding the browser? Of course. That's one of the big glaring things that are missing in most web development design courses. I cover them, of course, at length in StuWeb, because understanding how the browser works, how it processes code, how HTML, CSS, JavaScript intermingle on a macro browser level is part and parcel of being a good developer, because you can understand how the code works, how it processes, easier to debug your code. All right, I'm running out of time. We'll have to end this this version of the answering questions here. Anyway, whatever. All right, I hope you like this vlog. Bye.